Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel. We've got a video here called What Being a Personal Trainer Taught Me about women. So let's hear all about it. The original video is in the video description, so go and check that out.
I'll tell y'all, being a personal trainer at these luxury gyms, Equinox, Boston Sports Clubs in Wellesley, Massachusetts. Look up Wellesley, Massachusetts. Like I would say it's top 2, top 3, like wealthiest city in Boston. Like when I was a trainer at these places, especially when I was in college, because that was my first ever quote unquote occupation that I did, especially while I was in college, there were a lot of interactions that I would have with women, married women specifically, not single women. I did have some single women that I worked with. That's fine. But married women, I would have some interactions with them that would leave me scratching my head because, you know, I'm a very moral person and obviously don't shit where you eat, right? Like always, that was always my mindset. Never shit where you eat. And also never touch another man's wife, right? That's another thing. Consensually, of course. I know some people are going to think like I'm saying something crazy, but I would have these crazy experiences where, you know, obviously I'm a trainer. I'm here to make money. I'm making money.
You got to play nice, right? You've got to go along with it. So we got Tyrone here, or Tyrone Light maybe, the personal trainer who has been hired probably by the wives' husbands to help him stretch out, help him with those pelvic floor stretches, get him on the ground and push the leg back and stretch those hamstrings while he's thrusted into her. He's just a personal trainer. He's going to help her get in shape. Gotta love it. Now, I'd love to see the kind of the type of woman he's talking. Are they super hot fitness bunnies? Generally, they don't need personal trainers. Or is it more like middle-aged women trying to get back into shape? Because you can see them being, oh yeah, be my little piece of, you know, my little man chocolate or something like that. Like creepy middle-aged women. You know how they get these creepy ones that are just you wouldn't take a look at. They just get completely cringe with some of the shit they say to dudes.
And I'm working with these women and they start to get really flirtatious, right? And you start to wonder because you know that they're married because they came with their husbands in that consultation. Their husbands were sitting in that consultation. Their husbands were egging them on to actually be trained by me. And they were all for it. And then once the husband left and they were just me and them in the gym, right? They would start to, you know, say flirtatious things. They say, "Oh, you're so attractive. Like, oh, your muscles. I love how you look. Like, oh my God, like you're so amazing. I wish my husband was like that." And they would start to say things like this in the beginning, right? And I would work with these women for about 3 to 6 months, right? Nothing crazy. But as the weeks went on, the flirtations got more and more and more and more and more, right? To the point where it just got to a point where I'm like, you're married. Like, I wouldn't tell them this, but in my head, I'm like, you're married. Like, how could you be this flirtatious? Like, how could you?
I think it's an interesting double standard, isn't it? Because if a woman was subjected to that, that'd be seen as, you know, a sackable offence by the guy, sexual harassment, all that sort of stuff that you hear. It's just light flirting, though, when it's a dude. To get him to the point where he has to put up with the grunt and bear it because he's trying to make some money. There's some chick more or less coming onto him strong all the time. That's all right though when it's on the other foot. The shoe's on the other foot. That's fine. That's just a bit of fun.
You be egging me on so much, and it would get to a point. I would say typically around week 8, they would be like, "Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm really attracted to you. Like I don't really do much when I'm at home. My husband's not there. He's always at work. You can come over or something like that. Or like, hey, let's go do this. Let's go do that." And I would politely say no. I respectfully say no because obviously, you know, I respect their husbands. I respect what they're doing. I respect the hustle that they're doing. But there was one thing I realized because these demographic of women were rich women, right? And these rich women were always left at home by themselves. They were always bored. So they always wanted to talk to a lot of these guys who were in these services industries, right? They would have their own personal masseuse who was a male. They would have their own trainer who was a male. They'd have their own gardener who was a male. They'd have all these male services around them, right? Clearly for a reason. It never was just that, right? It never was just for just like their actual trade work that they did. But as I was talking to them more, I would try to understand what was going on at home. Because that would give me a good understanding of why they act the way that they act. Because I do believe that women who feel neglected or who feel like they're just sitting at home and just like their husband is out doing whatever he's doing, again, respectful, because he's going
most likely working. So basically what would happen here, whether it's personal training or the gardener or the pool boy or whatever generalization you're going to talk about, cliche to cliches for a reason, right? Is because either the husband's out of work too late, he's working too much, he's not focused on her as the sole purpose of his existence. And so then you get women who have the benefits of having the man with the money, so then they have a kept lifestyle, but they get bored. And so idle hands do the devil's work or something like that. I think it's a very, very good saying. Boredom, think about it. If your missile was at work all day and you were a guy who would bang heaps of chicks or something like that, you probably would. You'd get bored, you'd go and do it. A lot of guys would, or you'd be tempted. So these chicks, they get bored, they want attention. They feel a little bit... It's interesting because you get a lot of women who get resentful of their husbands for being away at work for a long time, even though they're completely benefiting financially from it. So it's very interesting dynamic. I'm not saying every guy would cheat, but you guys, I'm just trying to say, think about it. If you had nothing to do at all and you hated your missus and you had all day and you get away with it, I'm sure a lot of guys would do it. I.e., like these people. It's human nature. A lot of these women hate their husbands. They've gotten to the point where they're that resentful that they like to go out and cheat and stuff like that because they feel like the husband deserves it. I know it sounds crazy, but that's where they get to in their head.
Now he's going on business trips. Who knows what he's doing on these business trips, of course. But like, he's bringing in money, right? She's living this comfortable lifestyle. Why would you talk to a 19-year-old personal trainer who's in college still? Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? So it always hit me in the back of my head, like, what's going on? Like, why are you choosing to talk to me versus the guy who's rich? Don't women?
Because, dude, women love sex just as much as men, and young guys are far better at it. They're hornier. Women love banging younger dudes. Just pounding them out, ground and pound them.
Like rich guys? Don't they only want money? And when I started to really analyze this, I noticed that the money was kind of like a safety net for them. They want the rich guys because the rich guys have the money that will give them the lifestyle that they want. But the fun comes in with the guy who may not be rich, but also has a certain personality and has a certain edge to him that they're super attracted to, more of like the high testosterone guy, right? That like they just have like this crazy fondness of, they fantasize over. A lot of women fantasize over the personal trainer. They fantasize over the masseuse that touches them a little bit in a certain way and they get excited and they want to do this and they want to do that. I'm not saying all.
I've got a friend who he owns a landscaping business, a one-man show, and he goes over and he does his garden maintenance for wealthy people, like hedge trimming and all that sort of shit. And he's told me the amount of times he's been propositioned or flirted with, he couldn't even count. Now, he's married and got a kid and stuff. He's not that kind of guy. Well, that's what he tells me. Who knows if he does it or not. But he's told me it happens all the time. They invite him into the house or come in, have a drink with me and all this sort of stuff. Why would they be inviting him in? He's a good-looking guy as well. He's got a really fit dude for a guy in his early 40s. Very like muscular, fit kind of guy, sporty-looking guy. Tall, all that sort of shit. So they love him. They want him to come in and give them a little bit of maintenance on their bush. That happens.
Women, but that happens consistently. And it got to a certain point where I was really just asking so many questions about their relationships, and they would open up. They would say a lot. They say, "Oh, well, he doesn't last very long. Like it's kind of boring. Like I've never orgasmed in my sex life at all." Like they would just like throw this shit out there, and they would bash the guy so much. And in my head, I'm like, "But he's a millionaire." Like, bro, when I tell you, Wellesley, Massachusetts, billionaires out there, right? There are. I remember when I was waiting tables, because I did a little bit of serving at the country club, the Wellesley Country Club. The CEO of Bank of America was there. I'll never forget that. I didn't even know who he was. I served him. right? And these are the types of guys that live there. Like all the NBA players live there, everything, right? And all of their wives, I'm not saying his wife, or I'm not saying any NBA player's wife, but like a lot of these rich guys' wives would go to these trainers and they would flirt with them and they would do things with them. And it always puzzled me because I'm like, you have something safe at home. Why are you coming here and taking the risk with somebody? What if he finds out? Right. But then obviously, you know, they have probably half of whatever the guy has and they feel like they can do whatever they want. And it was just crazy to experience this stuff. And they would always talk about how like he doesn't necessarily listen to me. He doesn't pay enough attention to me. I always feel like I'm alone. I'm with the kids. Like I just like want to have some fun. Right. And it's tough to hear this as a man because you're like, man, what if this shit happens to me? Which, again, it can happen to anybody. It can happen to me. It can happen to you. It can happen to anybody. It doesn't fucking matter. The reality is it is a possibility, right? But what I've also noticed is it's a possibility that can be reduced if you're a man who can basically do more, right? And again, this is going to piss off a lot of guys. They're like, why do I have to do more? I just don't want to date women at all. Go ahead. Don't do that. Right? That's your prerogative. But I take that as a masculine man, I take that as a challenge. Like
it's a challenge, boys. It's a challenge. Take it as a challenge so your wife doesn't cheat on you.
How can I be somebody who's also fun, cool to talk to, like can actually give the woman a good experience while also getting the money as well? Right? It's good to have both. But a lot of these guys will be so focused on their careers, which again, respect to them because that's super important. But the women would be on the side just fucking around, right? Idle's mind is the devil's playground is what I learned. Because as they're doing these exercises, they're pointing their butt out a certain way. They want to do more squats. All of a sudden, they want you to get right behind them. They want you to do all these different things. And I just realized, man, I'm like, if you're a dude and you let your woman like go be with like a male trainer or like a male masseuse or any of these different services, you're kind of cooked at the end of the day, especially if you're a grinder. If you're somebody who's really working hard and building and you're not at home very often, the likelihood of something happening is a lot higher.
It's very high. A lot of guys just don't want to think that their wife could potentially cheat on them, and who would? Like, it's a horrible thing to think about. You know, cheating's a thing that men do. Right, men are the dirty dogs, and yes, we are. We're dirty dogs. We got Steve and Dim Sims, and we're there to put them somewhere. But contrary to popular belief in society, women cheat just as much as men, if not more. Like, how do you really know? How could you really get the numbers? You're never going to really know. Surveys, people are going to lie in most surveys. And in some of those surveys, women say they're cheating more than men. There's a survey I read quite recently. It was 62% of women have slept with a married man. Like whether or not they're married wasn't stated, but they've slept with a married man knowingly. So have a think about that. So it goes to show you that the morals and the ethics, it isn't that women are predisposed to be far more virtuous and innocent than what men are. They're just better at getting away with it, and men don't look for it or think about it or think it's a possibility because it's always man bad and women don't cheat. And it is just not true. If anyone's ever been the other guy and you're watching, put in the comments. It will change your view on women for life. You will never look at them the same way again. I'm telling you that.
And I didn't realize this until I went through that process. And once I started to understand, like, it's not about the money. It's not. It's about the fun. It's about the thrill. It's about the emotional roller coaster. A lot of these guys, when I would meet them, when they would come and sit down at, like, you know, we would do halfway point reviews and stuff like that. And like they'd want to renew and everything. They would be so excited that I'm working with them. They're like, man, you're doing so great. She looks so amazing, et cetera, right? And it's like, they just didn't understand what was going on behind the scenes. It like could not even be possible in their mind that their wife would be flirting with a 19-year-old personal trainer. Like, what? Like, I have the money. Of course she's attracted to me. It's like, no. And by the way, a lot of these guys were fat. A lot of these guys were fat, out of shape. I was like, man, I'll train both of you guys. I jokingly say this in the consultations. I'll be like, man, I can train both of you guys. Actually, that'd be dope. And of course, the woman would be like, no, it's just for me. It's just for me. It's just for me. And the guy would be like, yeah, she can have that. I'm good. Now, what's crazy is the woman would want to get in better shape. The man would not. As she got in better shape, she would start to look in different directions.
Absolutely. And because she has the time on her hands to dedicate, right? When you're a busy guy, say you got an office job or you're running a business or whatever it may be, it's hard to eat right. You can always do it. There's always an excuse. But it's harder, or there's more opportunity to eat shit. You're more sedentary. You don't feel like working out. You're not motivated to work out because you're sitting in a bloody office all day. That's where these women, who especially when they got all this time on their hands and their value because they don't work or they don't do anything else, is tied to how good they look. They're hyper motivated to look very good. And as he said, looking around, having fun, attracting men while having a man cover the lifestyle. I can see what he's saying. He's saying, well, don't be a fat schmuck. You know, leave your wife at home and be a fat idiot who's not attractive to her, but you bring in money. But women hunt these guys down to live this exact lifestyle, whether it's implicit or explicit. Because the guys who have the money, who are in shape, most of them don't get married a lot of the time. Or not to women like that. Not to a woman who's going to be just a princess, because they can pick them. They can already bang those chicks anyway. They're going to marry them. These guys with all the money marry these hot chicks because they think they can buy their love through providing. As for a guy who's got everything going for him, probably has a lot of women throwing themselves at him. He knows the game. He knows what they're all about. If he's going to marry someone, it's not going to be someone like that. It's going to be a plain Jane. Someone he can trust or feel he can trust.
Right? I would see the same woman looking at other trainers as well, not just me. I'm not saying that I'm like this Casanova or nothing like that. It was just the idea of being with somebody who was in shape, somebody who was young, somebody who looked adventurous, somebody who looked like they were just living life just on the edge. Like that's what they were looking for, you know? And so it got to a certain point where I just realized it's not all that it seems to be. Like, chasing money is great to be able to chase a fulfilled life when it comes to like your finances, to make sure that you're not stressed all the time. But it gets to a certain point where all of your life as a man has to be balanced, right? And it's like, you can have the greatest woman in the world, but if you neglect her completely, she's going to go awry. She's going to start doing other shit because they need attention. All of them do. It's normal for them to want attention. But it was just crazier to see these rich women who had the money, who wanted people who didn't have the money. All the trainers around me also were kind of similar to me financially. Like, we weren't balling, probably making around $50K a year, $40K a year, doing the training stuff at the gym. You know how the gym works. Like, you get paid probably 20%, if best, of what they're paying you per session, right? The going rate for those gyms that I was working at, the Equinox one in San Francisco, was $200 a session, right? Crazy, $200 a session. The one in Wellesley in Boston, Massachusetts, was around $90 a session, $90 to $100 a session. So these were like higher price things. And so we would get a small percentage of that. We'd only get 20%. And I just understood. I was like, man, it's not what the whole like idea of women, like it just shattered my idea.
What a really shatter a man's idea about women. There's probably two main things: going through the divorce system and seeing how much you're looked down upon and treated upon once your use is up. Regardless, it might have been 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years. That's one thing that'll change your perspective on it for life. Well, for most, because some guys don't learn. A lot of guys will go, you know what, this isn't what I expected. This wasn't the future that I thought I was going to get. This isn't how I thought my life was going to play out. This woman's more or less fucked my life up for the foreseeable future. They don't look at women the same. A lot more risk management involved in engaging with them. Or if you womanize and you're like that guy that I had on my channel the guy from A Current Affair, Marcus, who's gone around and impregnating all the single mums and banging all these chicks and lying to them. He just knows how they work. Knows what to say, knows what to do. He's also been the other guy, probably. He's been the guy who's been banging women who have boyfriends' husbands. That's another thing. If you've ever been the other guy, and I made a comment about it a little bit earlier in this video, the shit that women say about their current husbands, boyfriends, fiancés that they're cheating on will put hair up on your neck. Will give you goosebumps. Complete lack of respect. They're happy to go and have sex, completely detached from it, and go home and kiss him on the lips and make dinner or have dinner together. Oh yeah, how was your day? Yeah, I'm home a bit late, because I was at book club. They went at book club, getting guts smashed in the car park somewhere. That will change your view on them. I'm not saying they all do it, but it taints the view.
It helped me understand that you are not safe even with money. If you're one-dimensional, if you only have money, you're not safe. You gotta have multiple different attributes to you that wow the woman. You have to be in her fantasy consistently as a man. If you're jacked, you're in shape, and you're also making money, and you're also charismatic, and you're also super competent in other areas of life, she will always be attracted to you for the most part. And you have the freedom to be able to do things with her and have adventures with her. A lot of these women would always tell me oh yeah, we go on vacation once a year. Because he's always traveling for work and stuff like that. And I'm always with the kids and all of that. And they would tell me everything about their relationships, everything about their lives. And I would feel so bad for these guys because maybe they knew, maybe they didn't know. Maybe they just didn't give a fuck, honestly. Because I've also come across a lot of guys who are well off that don't give a fuck what their woman does because they're also doing some shit on the side and they're really just there to build the family, build the legacy, and just do whatever, right? This would typically happen. But it was.
That's a different world. I don't know many guys who wouldn't give a stuff about their wife off doing that sort of thing. Maybe in the world of the ultra rich, who knows?
Be so interesting to understand how these women think and how they view their relationship and how they don't give a fuck about their relationship and how they see their relationship as almost a crutch to their life versus something that is actually a benefit for them. I mean, they're benefiting with the money. They're benefiting with the guy who's ambitious, right? But they want the other things. They want the intangible thing or the tangible things that aren't necessarily as important as the money. And as I started to learn this, even when I was at Equinox, it was the same exact pattern, the same exact scenario. These rich women would come around, they would talk, they would over talk about their conversations with their husbands and their issues in the bedroom, their issues with his physical appearance, their issues with his over dedication to work. And it's in my mind, I'm how ungrateful could you be?
Yeah, that's right. Just bag the absolute shit out of him. That's what I'm telling you. The things that they'll tell you. This guy's experience, and he's just from a personal trainer perspective. I'm saying if you're the other guy who's been banging them, how much respect they have or lack of respect, it'll shock you.
This guy that you're married to, this multi-millionaire, is out here doing everything possible to keep your life beautiful. But you go to this personal trainer who possibly would financially ruin your life to get something, the 10% that you don't have. So it was an interesting dynamic where I realized that a lot of men really think that okay, I can.
Women live on emotion, right? That's what this guy he's not really talking about that here. They don't think about these things. It's like when they divorce husbands and they want to go and eat, pray, love and do all that stuff because they've been gassed up by women at work or their girlfriends or whatever it is. They don't think about the long-term debilitating impact to their lifestyle it's going to have. They think that it's going to go out there, it's going to be such great fun. Same as this. They're going to go and bang this dude and there's going to be no repercussions for it. They're not thinking far ahead, mate. It's just the way it is. Or they won't get caught. They're smart. They know they won't get caught. A lot of these women are very cunning. Very cunning. They won't even give their boyfriend or husband a scent that they're doing it. He won't be looking out for it anyway. I told you a story. There's this one woman I know. She was a nurse and the husband's an IT worker. And I think she's probably still doing it. But this was 10 years ago or more. Not 10 years ago. It was about 8 years ago when I first was divorced. 8 or 9 years ago. And I hooked up with her off, I think it was Bumble. She was openly on Bumble and Tinder and all those things. Obviously, not even worried about being caught. And she was inviting guys around to her house all the time. She was telling me all about it. She goes, yeah, I'm married and stuff. Because I worked it out. So I just asked her the question. I said, look, what's going on here? It's a bit sus. Well, after we'd done the job. And she goes, yeah, no, I'm married. And because of this, he's boring. He's boring and he doesn't fuck me like that. And like these other guys, he doesn't get me excited. And so she gets her thrills out of having sex with random men off the internet and getting away with it. And I asked her, I said, how often do you do this? She goes, just about every single day that I have off. And she was working like a nurses, they do the whatever split. So she's getting multiple days off in a row. Husband's at work during the week, multiple days off during the week. So she's just bringing guys there, banging them in this. She had this full setup in her spare bedroom. It was like an office or something. And she'd basically put down like more or less a tarp on this bed, on this mattress, and bang dudes in it, then roll the tarp up. Like fucking something, no hair follicles or nothing or no sense would be left behind. Like it was a full pro setup.
Can give 90%. And even if I don't have the 10%, it's fine. But they don't tend to realize the 10% that they ignore is the 90% that the woman wants. It goes both ways with relationships that I've noticed. When I've trained these women, I finally realized this. I was like, a lot of men think like I'm giving 90% of what I think she wants. And I don't have that 10%. And in the woman's mind, he's giving nothing because there's the 10% that she wants is the 90% that he gives. And the 90% that she wants is only actually 0% of what he gives. So there's like a misalignment in what's being given on both sides, right? That's why men cheat, because they look for that 10% that they don't have in the household. That's why women cheat, because they look for that 10% that they don't have that means more to them than the 90% that they're getting. So it was a very interesting dynamic. And luckily for me, man, like I believe in karma, so I never ever shit where I eat, bro. Like never. And I would just come away with so much more wisdom and so much more understanding of like women who actually are in marriages with successful men, like how they truly think, how money is not everything. It is something. It is something that's very important. I'm not sitting here saying that you should not go get money and you should just get jacked and be broke and live whatever. Do both, because you can do both. And that's what
So that's absolutely, no, money will help you attract a certain kind of woman. Not all women are into money. It's definitely a positive. But a certain kind of woman will be attracted by that. You'll lock her in with that. But once they're in, it's not going to keep them happy, because women can't be kept happy. There's always more and more that they want. It's like, as I talk about, it's an insatiable black hole that can never be filled. If you have that kind of woman who will do that sort of thing, have those sort of personality traits, you're never going to keep her happy.
I would always look at their husbands and I'm like, bro, you could go to the gym. You're not traveling every single day. And even if you are traveling, there's a gym in that hotel. You can go train. You can take care of yourself. You don't have to look the way that you look. But they don't care, because they're like money. Most of these guys were money hungry. To get to that level to where like these guys were making they had like multi-millions of dollars in money that was coming into them every single year. They had these billion-dollar corporations, but they didn't give a fuck about their health because they just cared about the money. And I would see the relationship just like drift. And I would see the upcoming problems that would come in. A lot of these guys end up getting divorces because they would come back into the gym a year or two later and be like, yeah, things didn't work out, man. Like everything went bad. And they would literally just like go to the gym and start to train because they realized, damn, I need to get in shape. I didn't take care of my body and stuff like that. They would talk about the sex life that they had. They would say how it was piss poor. And it just taught me so much, man. But like I wanted to tell you guys this because I know a lot of us are here, like, you know, we're chasing the bag, we're chasing the money, we're chasing all these things. And we also do want to have women, right? We do. I'm
all about balance. I think there's a certain amount of money you need to live and be comfortable and put some money away and feel like you have a safety net. But then the rest becomes meaningless, you know, especially if you're not a material person, because a lot of people do this. They work their whole life and they save up all this money in the bank or investments and they die without either depleting the money. So they keep building, don't enjoy any of it ever, die, and it either goes to family or wherever it goes. It doesn't go with you. It's not buried with you. So for my philosophy is, go hard, especially when you're young. Get yourself sorted with a place to live. Get that debt paid down as much as possible as you can. But you can't do that forever. What's the point of living really if you're just going to chase money? Now, for some guys, it's really fun. It's like a game, right? You're getting the high score on the board. The numbers are going up. It's fun and gives you dopamine and shit. But that's just my perspective. Get comfortable, but also enjoy life. And that doesn't. And what I'm saying by comfortable is, like have money, but you don't have to be rich. Investment banking dude working 100 hours a week, killing yourself, and then drop over dead when you're 50 with, $15 million in net worth. All right, that's enough for me today, guys. See you in the next one. Have a great day.